this. So everyone has permission for the most part, but if you don't want to, you can turn it off, although it won't pop up because you don't have your cameras on or you don't have your speaking on anyways. But anyways, Muhammad is rich. He is wealthy now. But he remembers what it was like to have nothing. Remember, he grew up an orphan. He grew up with so many members of his family dying and him not having wealth. So he went and would hang out in the caves near Mecca, and eventually he has a vision. Let's get to there now. So Muhammad was unhappy with Makkah's leaders. Remember, Mecca, Makkah, it is the same place, okay? So he's unhappy with the leaders there because, you see, Mecca was a very wealthy city, very wealthy because of all of the trade. It's by the Red Sea. It's on those trade routes between Europe, Africa, and Asia. It's just swell. He says, you know, we used to respect our families, our elders. We used to not cheat everyone in business because remember, Eli was constantly cheating people in business. Be like, oh, you want a pound of sugar? Just 14 ounces. You'll never know. He said, we need to help the poor. We need to share the wealth that we have. So like I said, while he's in this cave, he says he has a vision. And this vision is he's met by an angel. And as the story goes, it's the angel Gabriel, which if you are aware, was a kind of a big deal for Judaism and Christianity. And the story goes that he goes and tells him to preach Islam. I'll get to you in one moment, Joel. Now, Islam means surrendering to the will of Allah. Now, I need to make a side note here because people often go and say, well, this is one way we can just go say that Muslims are different because they worship Allah instead of God. But Allah is the Arabic word for God. So if you are a Christian speaking Arabic, which there are millions, guess what word you'd use? You'd use Allah. If you're a Jew speaking Arabic, which there are some, you would say the word Allah as opposed to God. Just like how, you know, people say God in English or some people say Yahweh. It's all the same with that. So anyways, Muhammad says, okay, this polytheism thing, not true. Monotheism is the way. You got to get rid of those idols. Okay? We need to destroy those statues and only worship one God. Which, of course, people were like, we don't want to do that. We want to worship all of our gods. He also has the audacity. How could he think this? He said everybody was equal. Am I right? How crazy, right? Yes, we know everybody's equal. But back then, people did not think such things. He said, you know what? It doesn't matter that Lydia has $1 million. She is just as good as Eli, who has -$5. They're the same in God's eyes. And in fact, because Lydia has so much moolah, she should share some of that with Eli so that he's able to get tacos on Tuesdays, so that he's able to have a full tummy, he's able to have a roof over his head. That money wasn't as important as being good to people. So Muhammad preached to go have one God, everyone was equal, and share the wealth. And that's why we sing in our song, you know, he said, tear those idols down, you know, worship only one God, all that kind of stuff like that. He said, share the wealth, tear those idols down, worship only. Yeah, so it is all in our song. Gee, your song gives you all the answers. Crazy, who would have expected? So, people don't like this. Remember, Mecca was wealthy. And one of the things that you're going to find out as you grow up, wealthy people usually don't like not being wealthy. They don't want to give up all that money that they worked hard or stole for. So we have the issues where people aren't going to like Muhammad's message. Now, many people do. People that were related to Muhammad who knew him were like, well, Muhammad's always very honest and good, so we're going to listen to him. People that were poor liked Muhammad's message. Just like when we talked about the transition from Hinduism to Buddhism in India last year, and how people that were Brahmin and Kshatriya, they said, well, I mean, we kind of like how the system is. We don't need Buddhism. But the people that were Sudras, the servants, the pariah, the untouchables, they thought the Buddha's message was amazing because it said that they were equal to the people that were venerated in their society. So many people who were rich, much like when we had Hinduism and Buddhism, they said, no, we don't want to listen to you. We don't want to do that. There's a reason why some people have more than others. Here's another thing. They made a lot of money with people worshiping multiple gods because you see the Kaaba was going to be where people went and worshiped. They thought they would lose money if they only worshiped one God. Now, I am so sorry that you guys are going to be robbed of some of the most amazing art you'll ever see in your life. Humpy the Camel is something that gets well known and passed down. I just spoke to a 9th grader today who, when I was like talking about this, like, you mean you showed them Humpy? And yeah, it's true. I will. Yes, Joel, your question, sir?
Isn't Angel Gabriel, wasn't he the one who talked to Mary?
Mm-hmm. Yep, he's usually the one that gives the big news. So, because Joel so awesomely talked, this is going to be a perfect life replica of Joel. He's even got his cool hair. So, this is our dear friend Joel. I know. It's like so realistic. Joel's like, wow, it's like I'm looking in the mirror. Now, Joel, of course, wants to go to the Kaaba. All right. He wants to go to the Kaaba because at the Kaaba is the statue of his favorite god, the god of headphones. Oh, yeah. He wants to go to the headphone god and leave an offering. So, Joel, he goes, I know, it's amazing art. There are pictures of Humpy the Camel that you're about to see in the Louvre in Paris and the New York City Art Museum. I mean, this is a sight to behold, guys. So this is Joel's trusty camel, Humpy the Camel. There's Humpy. All right, I know, it's so good. So Joel hops onto Humpy, and he is going to take a trip to Mecca to worship his god of headphones because he, like all other Arabs, worship many different gods. Now, Joel, have you ever been hungry before? All right, so he gets hungry. So he stops at, the Golden Arches of McDonald's. All right, gets him good, a big maca. All right, he orders a big maca. Now, are they going to give you that big maca for free? No, he has to pay money. I have a question, Joel. Do you want to have a bed to sleep in? So yeah, so he goes to the Mockaday Inn. All right, he goes to the Mockaday Inn Hotel. And of course, is that going to be free? No. So Joel spends money at the Mockaday Inn. So he's at McDonald's, Mockaday Inn. Now, are they going to let your camel into the hotel? No. So he's got to go to the stables. So he goes to the stables, drops Humpy off at the stables. Now, are they going to let your camel stay there for free? No. Costs money. Now, your family's going to want a souvenir, don't you? Are the souvenirs free? No. So, of course, Joel is going to get an I Heart Maca t-shirt here, which is actually my art is it is really going well. So, I Heart Maca gets a t-shirt. Of course, that costs money. And when he goes there, he has to go leave an offering for his god of headphones. So, he has to go and spend all of this money. So when Joel goes, he is taking big amounts of money with him. But here's the thing. Joel is not the only person making this pilgrimage. Of course, we have Mikel is going to visit, his football god. All right. And Mikel is bringing up tons of money. Iris is going to go visit her god of French baguettes. All right. And of course, she's going to have to go spend some money there. Delicia is going to go visit her goddess of fancy shoes. All right. So all of these people are going. So they thought if they only worship one god, then all these people are going to stop going to Mecca. They're going to stop spending their money at Mecca. So one of the big problems against Islam was people thought it would hurt our tourism. Isn't that kind of crazy? It boils down to moolah. The chat is being recorded. It's true. And I'm going to turn it off now because people are spamming it. So, I have the power. So, don't mind evil Mr. Ken. He sometimes comes out. That's when kids get thrown in the bottomless pit and stuff. So, he not only said, Nora, you're going to make less money, but now you have to share the money that you have with poor people. Like Haddon. It's not Nora's fault that Haddon is homeless and doesn't have a job. Maybe if he became a successful merchant and cheated people like you did, Nora, then he could have money too, right? I mean, come on, Haddon. Hayden, sorry. My daughter's friend is named Haddon, so sometimes I make that mistake. You know, go do that. Do what everyone else is doing. Whoa, Jude, nice to see you finally, bro. All right. And so another thing that happened too is the elders, the people that were in charge, they said, you know what? If we listen to this young guy, people aren't going to listen to us. They thought they were going to lose their authority. So we have this situation where elders didn't want to lose their authority, people didn't want to lose money, and people didn't want to admit that they were equal to others and share their wealth. So what did they do? They boycott Muslims. They say, anyone who is a Muslim, anyone who listens to Muhammad, we are not going to do any business with them. Meaning, you know, like Nalea has a store. Guess what? No one goes to the store. You know, Rajveer converted to Islam. Rajveer goes to buy some nice sneakers, and they say, I'm sorry, we're all out. And Rajveer's like, but I see them right there. Like, he says, I'm sorry, we're all out. It's terrible. You know, Rachel goes to get some groceries, and they say, no, I'm sorry, we don't sell to people that follow Muhammad. So they're discriminated against. And it gets so bad because Muhammad is causing all these problems because the poor are listening and loving Muhammad, and the wealthy don't want anything to do with his message, that they go to Muhammad's family and say, look, Muhammad is causing a lot of trouble. Do you mind if we kill him? And you know what his family says? They say, you're right. Muhammad is causing a lot of trouble. You should probably kill him. So I know, crazy, right? His own family. And so Muhammad is forced to flee. He goes to the city of Yathrib, which becomes renamed Medina, which, like I said, that is so cool that Google Maps like knew when I started typing Yathrib, I meant Medina. How cool is that? Because it hasn't been called Yathrib for like 1,000 years. So Muhammad and his followers are forced to run, forced to flee. Such an exciting story. I love it. So when Muhammad gets to Yathrib, he becomes the de facto ruler there. People want to listen to Muhammad and his wisdom. He settles disputes and arguments, and he's going to do something that is going to change the world. What he does is he makes people who follow Islam swear loyalty to God as opposed to swearing loyalty to your tribal loyalties. Instead of swearing loyalty to your family. So one of the things that was true for the Arab people prior to Muhammad was their tribes, their families were the most important things. And so, for example, Jude's great-great-great-great-grandfather accidentally killed Leighton's great-great-great-grandfather. All right? What that happens, though, that created a blood feud. So now the Parkers and the Nkrumahs are enemies. Just like the story of Romeo and Juliet, how Romeo's family and Juliet's family, they were enemies. They couldn't have anything to do with each other. It was the same deal. And the Parker family, ever since Jude's great-great-great-grandfather killed Leighton's great-great-grandfather, the Parker family has been killing members of Jude's family. And guess what? Jude's family is saying, well, those Parkers are so terrible, they killed one of our family members. So then they're trying to kill the Parker family members. So we have these blood feuds, and the Arab tribes were battling each other throughout almost all of history prior to this. Muhammad unifies them. He brings them together. He stops the Arabs from killing each other and brings them to one cohesive unit. This is a big deal. Because if you think about the ancient history we studied last year, and I apologize for those of you who weren't with me, it would have been great if you were there. The Arabs had been conquered and ruled by people time and time again. Conquered and ruled by the Persians. Conquered and ruled by the Romans. Conquered and ruled by group after group after group after group, by the Akkadians, by the Babylonians, people from Mesopotamia. These people. But after the Arabs unify, Arabs are the people ruling their areas until we have modern times with colonialization. So this really does change history, that we're going to start having Arab empires as opposed to being Arabs under the empires. Now, Muhammad eventually goes to war with Mecca. So Muhammad and his followers go to war with the people of Mecca. Mecca has the rich, so it has all of the money. It has the best weapons. They have the youngest and bravest soldiers. They have all of the able-bodied people. They have big, fast war horses. They have it all. Muhammad has the poor, has the old, has the orphan, the widow, the homeless, people who had nothing. People of Mecca had beautiful weapons like swords. The people of Muhammad had things like spears. Mecca had a much larger army. Muhammad had a very small, humble army. They go to war. Everyone believes Mecca will win the first battle. But somehow, Muhammad pulls out a victory. Now, people attribute it saying, well, perhaps the people of Mecca, they were cocky. Stop that, Joel. It's annoying. Perhaps the people of Mecca were being, they weren't taking Muhammad seriously. So another battle happens. Still a humongous Meccan army against Muhammad's small, weak army. Muhammad's going on like little camels and donkeys, whereas they are going on big, beautiful war horses. Muhammad wins again. People start joining Muhammad because they say, there must be a reason why this guy is winning these battles. It must be God helping him. And so, eventually Muhammad defeats the army of Mecca. Now, what traditionally happens when you conquer a city, so Eli the Conqueror conquers a city. He goes, he kills everybody who ticked him off. He sells women and children into slavery and steals everything that he wants. That's what would happen when someone conquers a city. And the people of Mecca say, well, we have it coming. We were going to kill Muhammad. We kicked him out. We made his people suffer. So they're expecting the worst. Muhammad breaches the city walls and he does not massacre everyone. He marches his men directly to the Kaaba. They circle around the Kaaba, and then instead of hurting a person, they start tearing down and smashing the statues of the different idols at the Kaaba. He doesn't hurt a single person inside of the city. The people are expecting him to massacre them, but instead, Muhammad massacres the idols at the Kaaba and says, we only worship one God. So Muhammad destroys the idols at the Kaaba, and that is the conclusion of our story for today. Tomorrow, we're going to get into some of the beliefs of Islam. And then on Thursday and Friday, you're going to have a miniature project on those beliefs. It's like super duper easy. It should take you like 20 minutes, but I'm going to give you 2 days. So do we have any questions on our lessons, my cherubs, as I turn off the recording?